Welcome students. In today's class, we will learn a C++ program with class. Here is one example. In this example, we take one class and we declare some objects of that specific class. There are some data members in that class and some member functions are also present. We can call these member functions by using the object of this class. As in last lecture we saw what is class and how the class can be implemented, how we can define the class and the data members of that class and member functions. In today's lecture we will see one example. I will explain the example. So let's start. So here is one class. This statement is our header file declaration statement. After this header file declaration statement, now you can see carefully here. Here we take one class. So class item is name of our class. Then here in this class we take two data members. These two are the data of this class, so they are called as a data members. So first data member is int number and second data member is float cost. Here we do not specify any visibility mode, that is we do not specify here private or public. It means that, as I already know that when we do not specify anything above the declaration of data member or member function, then they are by default considered as a private. So here is we do not specify anything. It means that this number and the cost, these two members are private. Now the next, here the next is the public. This is the public. It is a visibility mode, and as I know that when we write here public, it means that these two members we can use out of class also. So here these two member functions are, you can see here, public void get data int a comma float b. We declare here and we give here one semicolon symbol. It means that here we declare the get data function and we declare the arguments and their data types. We do not give the definition of this get data function here, so it is just a declaration, so we write here the semicolon symbol. In the next line we take void put data. It is another member function of this class, and here we do not specify any semicolon. It means that here is the definition. This is the definition of this put data function. This definition is starting from this open curly braces and ending with this close curly braces. So this is the definition, and as we know that put data function is the display function. It is used to display the data. It is used to display the values of these two variables, that is number and cost. So we write here cout number equals to, and here we take the number variable. In the same way cout cost equals to, and here we take the cost variable. In both lines we want these output on the separate line. Due to this we use here a backslash character constant, that is \n. We define the put data function here, so it is called as a inside class definition. It means that we define one member function inside the class and we define this member function out of the class, because the definition of get data function is not present here. So this definition we write out of the class. So purposefully I take here these two concepts. One member function we define inside the class and another member function we define here, that is below the class, out of class. Now here our class definition is over. So semicolon is here. in the next line we define get data function. Here we just declare the get data function, and at this line we define it. So void, the return type of this get data function we take as it is, then the name of class atom. As we define this get data function out of class, so we need to write which function or which class this function belongs to. So here atom, then the scope resolution operator, because we write this definition out of the class, so scope resolution operator is there, then name of our function, and these are the argument list. Here we define the definition, so semicolon is not required here, and at the next line we write here the definition. Whatever the value we take for A and B, that value is allocated to A and B respectively, and then it's allocated to number and cost. So this is the definition of get data function. Now till this we define our class, we define the data members, then we define the member functions. Now the remaining part is main function. The program is starting its execution from main function, so main function is the important part. Now see here, in main function, here we write item x. It means that this line is actually it is a object declaration. Here we declare one variable. This object declaration is like the same as we declare the normal variable. For example, suppose we can write like this. Suppose we write here int a. This same statement is similar to this, but the difference is that here int a means a is the variable of basic data type int, and here x is the variable of new user defined data type, and which is called as a class. And what is class? Here the definition of this int we do not need to define it because it is built in, it is predefined. But here atom is the new user defined data type. Due to this we need to define it, and we write the definition of this atom here. So when we write like this item x, it means that now the data type of this x is atom. Then whatever the present in x atom, all that things now belongs to the x, and according to that the memory space is allocated to x. Like this, according to integer definition, whatever the variable which is declared as an integer, that variable gets 2 byte of space in the memory. जसं इंटिजर व्हेरिएबलचा डेटा टाईप आपण डिक्लेअर केल्यानंतर त्याला मेमरीमध्ये 2 बाईटचा स्पेस मिळायला पाहिजे, हे प्रीडिफाईन्ड आहे. आणि म्हणून मग आपण int a असं डिक्लेअर केलं की 2a ला मेमरीमध्ये 2 बाईट ऑफ स्पेस इज रिझर्व फॉर दिस a. लाईक सेम हियर वी राईट atom x, then whatever the value or data members and member functions present in atom, according to that the total number of memory space, the total number of bytes are allocated to x in the memory. Now next, now this x is also called as an object. It is also called as a object. Now x is our object. Now it is not called as a general variable, it is called as a object. Now see here, by using this object we can call the member functions. So get data is the public member function and put data is also public member function. So we declare one object here, and by using this object x dot get data equals to one value we give as an integer and another value we give as a float, because in get data a is a integer and b is a float. So these two values, the first value is integer and the second value is float. So as get data is the member of this class, atom class, so using this member function out of class, we need or we take the help of this object and dot operator, and then we can write the function name. So when we write like this, the control is transferred here with these values, and according to that these values are allocated to number and cost, but this value is allocated to number and cost for atom X. So when we write here x dot put data, so control is transferred here for the definition of put data, and whatever the value we allocated for number and cost for X, that value will be displayed as a output. Then again the control return back. Now here we again declare one another variable, one another object, and by using this object again we call the get data function. At this time we assign some new values for A and B. So these values are the new values for number and cost for Y, and when we called y dot put data, so these two new values are displayed as a number and cost for the Y object. We can write these things on the same line also. We can write here atom X comma atom Y. It can also be allowed, but we can take on the separate space, separate locations. It can also be applicable in C++. So this is one simple example, and in this example we will learn about a simple C++ program with a single class. I hope all of you understand this point. If you have any doubt or any queries, so please comment me for this. So keep watching the videos. Thank you and take care.